And at 10, lives. I think the one thing that would have changed everything is if FNAF had a life system. Sure, you can go back and you can try the night again after you fail night 5 thanks to the continue button, but I think lives would have made the game much worse rather than better. Part of the appeal of the game is that you have one shot, and while yes it saves what night you're on, you still need to restart everything, and I think lives would take away from that, even though it's basically the same thing. Unless the lives would get you to continue the night that you were literally currently playing. Like if you got jump scared at 5 AM, you'd still be at 5 AM, which would kind of break the game. Especially if you use the glitch where you can continue a jump scare for a long time while still continuing the night. With the system it has, lives are kind of redundant, but we know that that was planned thanks to gameplay that was left on Scott's YouTube channel from the development days of the first FNAF game. I can't believe this game has gone from a last-ditch attempt to being featured next to God of War and Call of Duty. That's insane. And at 9, Glamrock wardrobe swap. This is something that I didn't even notice until I went into the comments of the first Security Breach trailer. Yeah. In summer of 2020, Funko leaked the designs of the action figures for Security Breach, thus leaking the designs of the animatronics. People were pissed about this, obviously, since Scott had specifically told Funko not to release anything, or at least we figured as much. Like, I don't know if he made a post about it or something like that, but like, Funko leaks things a lot. Anyway, the designs of the characters from the actual game are different to those that the action figures had. The designs are different, okay? This is most notable on Roxanne's clothing, where Scott moved the black star shapes, and on Monty's guitar, where he removed or moved the black stripes to be smaller or something like that. Chica's guitar is also a lighter blue and mostly white, as opposed to the white and darker blue of the original action figure, and the animatronics in the trailer are properly proportioned. The action figure heads, they just weird me out. Like, the normal pop heads, that's fine, but like, when it's an action figure that's supposed to be properly proportioned, I don't like it. And at 8, Immobile Freddy. The original FNAF that Scott had in mind is not at all like the one we know today. Well, it is in the sense of this is what he wanted to make, but so many ideas and mechanics were added and changed that while we know FNAF is a point and click that gets progressively harder, adding more animatronics later on in a playthrough, that wasn't what Scott had planned from the beginning. In a statement on Reddit, Scott revealed that he originally had plans to make Freddy only jump scare you if you run out of power, and that he never wanted him to leave the main stage. Eventually this changed, and we'll probably never really know why. Maybe it was because the game was too easy, or maybe he wanted to see how things would go with 2 animatronics in the same hallway, or perhaps he had Freddy moving around but got jump scared randomly and kept it in, or he just wanted to torture us more like the sadistic fool we all know and love him to be. I don't know, okay? Why did you do this to me, Scott? Why? Like, I'm kidding. Just please notice me. Sky Daddy Scott. I'm bringing it back. Sky Daddy Scott. And at 7, Endo. Endo is basically just a naked endoskeleton that totally screws with what the phone guy was saying in FNAF 1 to explain the animatronics attacking you. He said it's because when they look at you, you look like a naked endoskeleton, but then there's ones just standing in your office in FNAF 2 and FNAF VR, and they totally ignore it. This one is similar to the mini arena. You just keep restarting the level and eventually you'll find an endo standing to the right of your desk, okay? This can happen in both Blacklight Mode and regular mode on any night. And I know that the explanation for why they're attacking you is because you play as Michael and all that jazz, and they don't actually think that you're an endoskeleton, okay? But like, I don't like logical inconsistencies. I've probably made so many countering comments over previous videos that I can't really talk about inconsistencies, but you know what? I don't care. No one's trying to piece together the lore of my life, so that's fine. Inconsistencies in these games though, when I'm literally doing it as a job, that's a problem. Halfway through, nope, not halfway through, and at 6, Nightmare Chica. Nightmare Chica is one of the most terrifying secret animatronics in any of the games. Again, summoned by Dee Dee after she sings her song, Nightmare Chica will appear behind you, and is actually capable of jump scaring you. You'll know if Chica is behind you because all of a sudden, you'll see teeth. Yes, if Nightmare Chica is summoned, you will literally see her start to close her mouth around you. To fight this off, you either need to turn off the air conditioning or the heat in an effort to make her go away, but once you do that, she's done for the night. I don't know if Dee Dee can pop back up again and summon her again, but if she can't, then you won't have to deal with it again. But if Chica closes her mouth around your head, she will jump scare you, end the night, and let's be honest, probably claw your face off, then use it as pepperoni. Although, if I'm being totally frank, if she's closed her mouth around my face, aren't I already dead? Halfway through into number 5, Helpy. Oh my god, I hate this little bugger, okay? And not because of like buff Helpy anymore, just because of the damn Helpy horror sections from the Poxy Cove. You know? But just because of the goddamn Helpy horror sections from the Foxy Pirate Ride thing from Curse of Dreadbear, okay? But while Helpy makes a prominent appearance there, you may not have had a chance to see him appear in the main menu screen for this game. Yes, in the main level selection screen, or for the base game, kind of like the main hub area, Helpy can appear holding onto the monitor and hanging off the side like some sort of demonic fireman. And if it wasn't terrifying enough, because let's face it, if you load in expecting to see a normal monitor, then you get a bear right in your face, you'd be concerned too. You can also see Helpy in FNAF 2's office, behind you, as some sort of weird peeping Tom who gets off on you being terrified and then uses it as motivation to work out later. Actually, I feel like that's everyone in the comments section. You all want to see me get terrified every single time I play a game, and it's not fun. Anyways, you can encounter him at the same time as the Endo, which makes it just even worse. Like, did he put Endo there? Did I put Endo there? I don't know. I'm tired. And at 4, Lolbit. Lolbit does actually make an appearance in Ultimate Custom Night. However, it's not in the same vein as the others. While the other animatronics are actually visible, Lolbit's bit is just a load of loud noises and please stand by graphics showing up on the screen, blocking the middle of your vision. The whole point of this character is to cause noise, since there are characters who jump scare you based on sound, as made evident by the noise bar at the bottom left of the screen. This makes a whole lot of noise for a very long time, meaning that the animatronics will know where you are, and Music Man, if he is in the game, will jump scare you basically immediately because Music Man hates noise for some reason. Gotta love that logic. The man's a DJ, but literally any form of noise in FNAF 6, he'll rip your face off. Getting close to the end in number 3, cameras. The beta for FNAF was full of unused or cut features. Some of these were interesting, like the original camera map, while now we see boxes that indicate the rooms where the cameras are located and then lines leading to the other rooms and the hallways and such. Originally, we actually saw the entire layout at once, and we could actually see the directions that the cameras were facing, showing us what we'd really be looking at. I can see how this would be useful, but since the game plays more like a slideshow in a way, instead of the animatronics free roaming, we didn't really need all that information. And the design that we know and love today really kept it simple and accessible, and that's all we really needed. They'll end up in one position on that camera, then they'll be in another, and then like knowing the direction of the camera in this case doesn't really matter. It would have been interesting for sure, and like maybe you could have included that in Security Breach, because that would have been useful. You should have included this in Security Breach. What the hell? I'm mad about this. Like, cause like you just click on the box and then you're like, oh, where's this supposed to be looking? I don't know if it's looking at me or not. Do it! Fix it! Penultimately into number 2, co-op mode. Believe it or not, FNAF was actually going to include a multiplayer mode. Well, at least in Help Wanted. In the game files, there is a folder called Multiplayer that has several files stored within it. These files are named Character Info Table, MP Game Mode, and so on, suggesting that multiplayer mode was actually planned with this release. But now, it's kind of unclear whether it was intentionally scrapped or maybe saved for a future game or something. Maybe to build hype, maybe they were just testing it out. Like, I don't know. Do you have a theory about that? Like, do you know if multiplayer mode is going to return, or no one knows, but like, do you think multiplayer mode is going to return or not, or make an appearance in this game, in Security Breach, or in a future game? What would multiplayer mode look like? Would you play it? Let me know in the comments, okay? My theory is that the multiplayer mode may have been for the trailer, since you can see the hands and the head of the person who's actually playing, but it could be something else. I don't know. Well, I don't know why they wouldn't remove the files from the game, or like why they would call it multiplayer if it was for the trailer and only for the trailer. And finally, in at number 1, the FNAF story we know and love, but also rage at on a daily basis. Just kidding, that's just me. Well, it's a complicated story that makes everyone want to cry, and specifically me cry myself to sleep. It could have been a lot simpler and just straight to the point. 3 games, 1 story. Yes, that's right. In case you missed it in previous videos, the FNAF story was only actually meant to be 3 games long, with William dying in FNAF 3's fire. However, the community thought that the Springtrap jump scare was disappointing, so Scott overcorrected in FNAF 4 with the nightmares. But then we got more confused, so we had to continue. The story could have been 3 games long, okay? Maybe even no book series, no movie, no Fazbear Frights books. Yeah, like how insane is that? That's stupid. This is a 9-game long story that could have been 1/3 of its length. God damn it. This makes me rethink my whole life. Like, is this really what this channel should be covering? Like, I like talking about Skyrim. I love Skyrim. Why can't I talk about Skyrim? Because you don't click on anything that's not FNAF. And at 10, Daycare Hole. One of the most interesting aspects of a free roam game is all the secret areas and Easter eggs you can hide, like the Portal 2 Easter egg hidden in Skyrim of all games. However, in FNAF, it's much more than that, since each tiny Easter egg or detail can help us figure out what the hell has been going on in this series for the past 8 years, which makes the appearance of secret little cubby holes around the Pizzaplex very interesting. Like the one for the Moondrop and Sunnydrop animatronic hidden behind the daycare center behind a Foxy poster unlocked by taking pictures of certain cardboard cutouts that are also actually on the poster, which makes me think, are there more areas that need to be unlocked like that, or something like that? I'm sure many have tried various things, but I don't know, it feels like there should be one for like the laser gun equivalent. In this little hole, however, you can find a mini game called Balloon Boy World, which we will talk about more later on. But also, it contains a duffel bag with lore and the Golden Moon animatronic plush required for one of the achievements, so it's certainly somewhere that you'd want to go. You can also get the achievement for playing the Balloon Boy World minigame also. And at 9, Vanessa Therapy. Something I was unaware of until completing the game and getting Roxy's eyes were 16 retro CDs that can be found towards the end of the game. You have to actually have Roxy's eyes to see them though, because they don't spawn in unless you have the eyes. These can be played with a CD player hidden in a sister location secret room. The retro CDs require Roxanne's eye upgrade on Glam Rock Freddy, and for the CDs to spawn in, Gregory has to be inside an upgraded Glam Rock Freddy, be near the disc and like looking at where it would be, and then exiting to actually be able to collect it, otherwise it won't spawn in if you're looking away. The order in which the CDs are found does not seem to affect which recordings are unlocked, just the amount of CDs found, which is clearly a reference to the 16 tapes found in FNAF VR that weren't really found in a particular order. Collecting them just seemed to unlock them in sequence. However, these tapes seem to also contain therapy sessions between Vanessa and a therapist, as well as a therapist and another individual who goes unnamed, but could also be Gregory. We don't know because they never talk. And at 8, Fire Dave. One of the various lore duffel bags we can stumble upon in this game is a customer complaint titled Hi Dave, which upon inspection reads, quote, "Customer complaint. You should fire Dave, he sucks." And while it's short and sweet and to the point, it also is seemingly a reference to the FNAF novels, since if you're unaware, in the novels William Afton was introduced, but at first he was going by the alias Dave Miller. And considering how this customer says that we should fire Dave, I think that's a pretty telling way to reference the book's most infamous employee, and also reference the fact that Afton is in the Pizzaplex right below our noses. This duffel bag can be found on the farthest left bench next to the lockers in customer service, which seems to indicate that Dave also worked in customer service. Just a horrible place for a serial killer to work, just saying. And at 7, Manglement. FNAF VR introduced the vent repair minigames, featuring Manglement entered in some of the scariest experiences I've been through, okay? I've played through the Mangle vent repair from that game on this channel actually, and it was terrifying. Now, despite my idiocy in that same video, dealing with 3 vents was fairly simple, okay? They open one by one. They open one by one and then you kind of have to just look down them. However, it was actually planned to have another vent at the top of the elevator. So every time you see that opening and you think that Mangle may pop up there, Mangle was planned to have 4 entry points the whole time, and not one behind you, no, one above you. Can you imagine how rude of an awakening that would have been if nobody had noticed it? And how incredibly terrifying it would have been if it was implemented? It would be over. Anakin, Mangle has the high ground, and I am 100% certain that it would have caused a lot more deaths. I know that I would have died if Mangle had come through the top. Imagine. I don't want to deal with that. No, like they're over top. They have so much more power when they are above you. I don't want to deal with it, no. And at 6, the box. The infamous box that was first released with the ending to FNAF 4, saying some things are best left forgotten for now. But that for now was kind of like a politician's campaign promise. They never really followed through, because we never really found out what was in the box. However, the community seems to think that the contents of the box have changed. Originally, it was believed to have been dream theory, since Scott originally said the community may not accept what was in the box. However, there are also multiple other theories, like the box contains the body of crying child, which we heard from MatPat. It was also rumored to have been revealed in the Security Breach teaser game, like the Fury's Rage, the side-scrolling beat-em-up one. I don't think that was a thing. I can't see that, but like people were claiming that it does. If anyone has links to that, you can send them to me on like Instagram or something. Don't put them in the comments because YouTube might auto-delete links. I don't know. And apparently the box was supposed to be revealed in FNAF World, and they decided not to do it. And it was just, the box has changed a lot. Okay, all right, deal with it. Halfway through into number 5, Blacklight Mode. You may not have seen the Blacklight animatronics if you aren't paying attention to the merch, but if you did pay attention to the merch, you would have seen them, okay? They released Blacklight plushies and pop figures a long time ago without any real explanation. Well, as it turns out, these alternate colored animatronics are actually for Help Wanted's Blacklight Mode, or hard mode, whatever you want to call it. You don't actually get to see them unless you boundary break, since the animatronics are hidden behind the curtains that don't open in Blacklight Mode, but they are still there. They also appear in the parts and service repair games, but since the room's so dark, you can't actually tell that they're Blacklight. Although technically, if you think about it, they're kind of scrapped. But they are in the game, even if you can't see them. It depends on how you want to take changed, okay? Because technically they were scrapped, but technically they're also still included, but you can't tell that they were included. I don't know. You know what? It's my list. I can do whatever I want, okay? The Blacklight animatronics were a change. That's it, okay? But you know what I want to change? I want a Glitch and Glitchtrap pop figure, okay? That's what needs to change. That's not a thing. They need to make it a thing. Also make a Vanny pop figure, please. Like a dummy thick one, specifically. Thank you. In at 4, Rogue Mechanics. If you're an avid fan of this channel or of Ultimate Custom Night, you may already know about this detail, but in fact, the mechanics of a few characters have actually changed after just one day. Nightmare Freddy, Phone Guy, and Foxy were all implemented on April 1st of their specific year, with their behaviors based on incorrect theories, basically using that to disprove them in that moment and then torturing us and William with them. Phone Guy couldn't talk while Springtrap was on the move because, you know, he can't be in 2 places at once because Phone Guy's supposed to be William, yeah. Nightmare Freddy, when jump scaring you, would actually wake you up for a nightmare for a bit and then you'd fall back to sleep and go back into the game to finally show us that dream theory is wrong. And Foxy would come help you out by blocking a doorway because people thought that Foxy was a good guy. Those are neat ways of disproving theories, but like, really, Scott? You had to use the whole Foxy as a good guy theory and not something more impactful? Like, it's kind of a troll if you ask me. The next day, however, the mechanics were switched to what they are now. In at 3, Pizza Rumors. Again, found in one of the lore duffel bags, we get quite an interesting parallel between Fazbear Entertainment and Chuck E. Cheese. Found in a party room outside the Moondrop Daycare, we can find, quote, recycled pizza? Customer complaint. The pizza we ordered was weird. Some pieces were different sizes or didn't fit together. One slice even had different toppings. Did you recycle the old pizza from the trash? I am never coming back here unless I am given some form of major discount. Angry mom. End quote. And while they're also playing on the Karen tropes, seemingly, this also has a larger reference to the conspiracy theory that Chuck E. Cheese was recycling their pizzas. It was talked about by everyone from Shane Dawson to MatPat, with MatPat seemingly proving the rumors false, since they ordered a pizza from Pascali's Pizza and from the actual Chuck E. Cheese, which are made in the same kitchen, and the pizzas from Chuck E. Cheese still looked janky as hell, when it's literally impossible to get recycled pizzas because of a pandemic. So, it's not true, but it's certainly an interesting Easter egg nonetheless. And ultimately, in at number 2, Arcade Conspiracy. The Arcade Conspiracy gets its name from one of the duffel bags that you can find, where we learn that something else seems to be going on here. Quote from this Arcade Conspiracy note, exit interview. They are working together, the arcades. They are hiding something, the glitches. Glitch them all at the same time, then the princess will recognize me. She's testing me. I am not yet worthy. The others are protecting it. Let me stay. I'm so close. Just one more night, please. I can save the princess. Now it's clear that that this seems to be referencing the Princess Quest minigames. However, it doesn't really seem like we have to glitch the Princess Quest games in order to win. We just have to beat them in orders from 1 to 3, and then boom, we save Vanny. So what could the rest of this mean? Well, there are 3 other arcade machines that seem to be having mysterious glitches as well. The Balloon Boy World game that you can find in the theater and the secret area, Chica's Feeding Frenzy, which won't turn off even when unplugged, that you're supposed to be able to find in the bakery but that hasn't been added yet, and Monty Golf A-Arcade that according to its duffel bag shouldn't be in the mini golf area, but it is. So what's the deal here? What's going on with these games? And does it have anything to do with the Happiest Day minigame where we need to glitch out various minigames in order to unlock the good ending of FNAF 3? I don't know, but we won't be able to know until Chica's Feeding Frenzy is officially added into the game because they released Security Breach without it being complete. And finally, in at number 1, Freddy and Friends. In the area where you end up forcing Chica to eat garbage in order for her to get crushed, you can find a secret door. A duffel bag will be hidden next to it, indicating that you need to take a picture of the wall to continue, and doing so results in a tiny door opening so that Freddy can't actually fit through, but you can. But the room it leads to is probably one of the most interesting things at all. A replica of the room that Mike watches The Immortal and the Restless in from Sister Location, even including the basket of exotic butters. If that wasn't bad enough, you can also see the Freddy and Friends cartoon on the TV, which explains why Steel Wool was posting them to begin with if they never intended on fully releasing the release date with them, since the security code on the wall was meant to be solved using these cartoons, which is why it's playing on the TV, so you associate that code with Freddy and Friends. But needless to say, it's certainly an interesting and pretty damn cool Easter egg, although it opens up a whole other can of worms if that's the case, since, you know, Plushtrap was found in the final episode of that, and now this series exists in the FNAF world. I don't know, maybe I'll have to do more research on this, really, to see if there's more going on here than we realize. And its end names don't matter. Scott Cawthon is the creator of the FNAF games, so I think that we can take his word for everything in the series. Unless he's trying to troll us at least. And in an interview, I'm pretty certain with Daco, he said that the names he gave the characters don't really matter. There wasn't much thought behind it, especially in the first game. The names of Jeremy, Fritz, and Mike Schmidt don't really matter. Now, whether the names of all the characters don't matter is up for debate, since he, after the first game, wanted to tell a story, so we unfortunately can't throw away or confirm the Mike Schmidt-Michael connection yet. However, if you're currently looking into the meaning of those names, and maybe even names like Gregory or Elizabeth, maybe it's best to hold off on that until it's our only option. I personally don't think that we've presented every possible scenario yet, mostly because other people don't want to hear anything other than what's been generally understood right now. Like what we generally accept as what happened in FNAF, people don't want to hear something else, but hey, that's not my problem. And at 9, the books. The main series of FNAF books, those being the Silver Eyes, the Twisted Ones, and the Fourth Closet, don't have much connection to the actual games. They tell a different story, yet on another Earth or something like that. However, they are from the same mind as the games, so they do share common elements, and they would have some hints to help us figure out the base series, because he'd already have a story in mind for that, and he can't really just lose it entirely. But where the books really come in clutch is the Fazbear Fright series, a book series originally said to only have 5 books that ended up getting itself some more. The Fazbear Frights books are, by Scott's own words, meant to help us solve various aspects of the games, and that's where these books come in handy. Without them, we wouldn't know how William always came back, or that he just never died until actually possessing the hard drive, and many, many more things. So maybe if you're looking for answers, these books are the place to go first. Also because these stories are genuinely scary. And at 8, FNAF Multiverse. I personally cannot wait for the FNAF Multiverse canon. I'm really interested to see where that canon's story will go, and if it will be easier to follow than the main FNAF story. The new universe, of course, being thanks to the Fazbear Fanverse initiative Scott has put together, helping fan game creators have funding to make additional games in their series, or releasing new and updated versions for their old games, with popular series like Five Nights at Candy's getting another game, as well as The Joy of Creation getting a remade collection. But this also contains FNAF Plus, a fan recreation of the first game which looks utterly terrifying, and will serve as the start of that FNAF universe's timeline. If they used like the main games, it would be complicated and like it would be weird, okay? like from a lore perspective. Like it would have to be the exact same thing, and it would be weird. I love the idea of multiple Earths, as I'm sure you all know, where anything you can imagine is literally happening on another planet, and I think that that's really inspirational at times. Like you can literally do whatever you want, like whatever you set your mind to, because it's happening somewhere already. You just gotta have it happen here too. Like how else am I supposed to find the motivation to take over the world? Honestly. And it's 7, Joy of Creation. The anticipation for the Fazbear Fanverse initiative is building now that Security Breach has released and we don't know anything about what's coming next in the main FNAF universe. However, there are actually references to some of the Fanverse games in Security Breach. For example, the Joy of Creation Easter eggs of Ignited Freddy and Ignited Bonnie found on the House of Bear and House of Bear 2 arcade cabinets found around the Pizzaplex. This is something I actually picked up on my first time through, so needless to say, it's pretty damn cool that I was right about it. The House of Bear cabinet has Ignited Freddy's silhouette standing in the doorway, and House of Bear 2's machine features Ignited Bonnie's face, which could be considered Withered Bonnie, but given the context of Ignited Freddy on the other one, I think it's safe to say that this is Ignited Bonnie. Plus, this can also explain how these games fit into the main timeline, since the Fanverse games could just be the games that Scott's in-universe counterpart made. It would also explain why they have their own FNAF 1 version titled FNAF Plus. And at 6, Freddie Mercury. Did you know that Freddy Fazbear in the opening cutscene to FNAF Security Breach is actually making a reference to Freddie Mercury? Yeah, neither did I. But thanks to some helpful YouTube commenters, not on these videos, on other videos, it was pointed out to me there. While on stage when showcasing his name, Freddy Fazbear strikes a similar pose to Freddie Mercury, which is kind of iconic and understandable given that both their names are Freddy. And I don't really want to see Freddy getting up on his toes, grabbing his crotch and yelling, "Ow!" in reference to Michael Jackson. Someone also ended up making an album cover for the glam rock band singing Bohemian Rhapsody, which is absolutely iconic and I love it. I kind of want to hear this now though. Like why can't we have this instead of like Freddy telling Gregory that he needs to vent like a sussy baka? Like why has that been going around? Like, Gregory, have you heard of Among Us, Gregory? You need to vent. I don't know. And why is my TikTok For You page filled with FNAF memes and FNAF related content all of a sudden, okay? It was like the one safe place I had. But now there's like glam rock Freddy filters and like sunny drop filters and Gregory being a sussy baka and like but Vanessa, I'm a material girl things. Like what the f, man, why? Halfway through into number 5, Gregorys Missing. This is something I picked up on in the second ending I got in my playthrough, in what is commonly referred to as the worst ending, where you simply leave the Pizzaplex by yourself without Freddy. The first ending I got is actually the Vanny ending, which to me is my canon ending. It's a different way to explain that. But in this ending, Gregory ends up running away and hiding in a cardboard box. This box is assumed by most to be his home since he doesn't really have one and can't really return to the Pizzaplex. However, this is where this detail comes in. The newspaper he's using as a blanket has multiple silhouettes of the children who have gone missing this time around. 9 of them this time to be exact. However, the one in the bottom left corner looks an awful lot like Gregory when he's standing in front of all those security monitors in the first Security Breach trailer. I'm just saying, especially when Vanessa says that he's been wiped from the system, and I'm pretty sure one of those lore bags also shows us that we've been wiped from the system as per someone's request. So that's certainly not a coincidence. And I doubt Scott used it and just thought, oh yeah, this is easy, let's do that. No, not a chance. There has to be something there. And at 4, Monty the Murderer. One of the biggest questions this game seems to have is where did Bonnie go? While with sister location, simply put, Funtime Chica was rented out, that's not really the case with Bonnie in Security Breach. We hear Freddy say that there isn't a bunny here anymore in a somber way as if he was killed, but by who is the bigger question. In the lore duffel bags, we can find various bits of evidence though that suggest Monty could be to blame, since after all he did end up replacing Bonnie as the new bass player after his accident. But was it really an accident? Let's look at what the bags say. Quote, "The bowling alley needs a retheme. While most of the Bonnie art was removed, kids keep asking where's Bonnie? Do we have an officially approved response?" Which makes it seem like Bonnie isn't simply out of commission. But we can get even more specific. Quote again, 12:24 a.m. Bonnie is seen leaving his green room in Rockstar Row headed east towards the atrium. 2:40 a.m. Bonnie enters the East Arcade. 4:12 a.m. Bonnie enters Monty Golf. Golf. And considering how that's where the log ends, we can be pretty certain that Bonnie ate the dust over at Monty Golf, which would make even more sense given that Monty replaced Bonnie, became more popular than Bonnie, and then was also the last place Bonnie was seen. Seems pretty sus to me. I mean, maybe Monty was the one who should have been venting. And at 3, flash forward. One confusing part of the game lore to me is the death of Henry Emily, the father of the puppet and the one who set the fires in both FNAF 3 and FNAF 6. Since he stays to burn in FNAF 6, so nobody will remember the horrors that occurred. But thanks to FNAF World's additional cutscenes after an update, where we see the introduction of Baby and the death of Henry, who we figured was Henry because he says he helped create the monster, which would most likely be referring to William or the animatronics, but either way, Henry helped. But like I said, if he dies in FNAF World, how is he alive in FNAF 6? That couldn't have been Henry, right? Well, who else is at the FNAF 6 location? Baby. It could very well be that this is a flash forward to the FNAF 6 location even before Sister Location had been released, which is crazy and pretty cool. It also explains why Baby had to get kicked out of the Enter tribe, because she had to be a separate entity so that she could kill William, like that cutscene. And at 2, no sequels. This is fairly common knowledge, but it's something everyone seems to forget, and honestly, it's crazy to think about. The original game was meant to be Scott's final attempt at being a game designer after multiple games not taking off. But thanks to some incredible ideas, reviews, mysteries, and YouTuber support, the game blew up and got itself some sequels. However, since there was no intended sequel, the canonicity of the first game can be confusing. Does it matter? Should we ignore it? No, because while it may be slightly outdated, Scott has said that the game still has significance and the game is still canon. What that really means is unknown, like if all the parts of it matter, or if we should just keep an eye on this game since it will be needed to sort out the whole timeline. Like, we don't know if all of it matters or if the things that don't conflict aren't canon. We aren't sure. Finally, in at number 1, the end. There was actually meant to be an end to FNAF. The Five Nights series wasn't intended on being more than one game, as I said before, but after it got a sequel, the game wasn't going to be as long as we know it to be today. The story wasn't going to be as complicated and convoluted as it is now, because the series was supposed to end after FNAF 3. The series was going to be fairly cut and dry. William kills 5 kids by luring them into the back room and then they get possessed. The restaurant closes and then reopens after sealing his Springtrap body inside. He is then released and Fazbear Frights opens, but burns to the ground with him inside, and with FNAF 3 being the original ending, William would have died in that fire, and honestly, I would have loved that. No confusing crying child or Big Brother shenanigans, no convoluted timeline, but Scott ended up making FNAF 4 because the community was overall disappointed with the Springtrap jump scare, and he didn't want something that disappointed people to be the last game of the series. That's why the nightmare animatronics are so terrifying. It's an overcorrection. And honestly, I understand, because, like, I am too. I'm disappointed with it. Hence why I don't think that Springtrap is that scary of an animatronic, but also because he isn't an animatronic, he's a dude in a suit, but still. So yeah, FNAF 3 would have been the end of the series if the Springtrap jump scare had actually been scary. So I guess we can thank William for our continued content and channel growth. Thanks, dude. Many lives have been sacrificed. That's also from another interview of his, in case you're wondering. And at 10, Plushtrap. Plushtrap, while not really being secret, will appear in 50-20 mode in Ultimate Custom Night. 50-20 mode being where you set all of the 50 animatronics to level 20 and then you play. Which, if you do, you're an absolute crazy person and you need to be put away. Well, probably not, but like, because like that's the whole point of the game, but like, still, okay? Plushtrap will be added in by Dee Dee when she starts singing about how things are unfortunate. Haha, you don't know the half of it. But if you do see Dee Dee add a new challenger, be sure you check Cam 6 right away, because if she does indeed add Plushtrap, he will be sitting on a stool in that hallway. And you only have like 6 seconds to actually scare him off, otherwise he'll jump scare you no matter what you do. If you scare him off after those 6 seconds, he's gonna come after you anyway, like a freaking turd, okay? Like, why you gotta be so much of a Is it because like your dad abandoned you saying that he was gonna go get some milk and then actually came back with more kids to kill, or no, he just didn't come back? Sorry Plushtrap, but you know what? You deserve it. This might have gone too far. Hit at 9, Mini-Rena. A load of these secret animatronics are coming from FNAF VR, okay? And most of them involve just minor appearances and don't have any actual impact on gameplay. But the Mini-Rena can sometimes pop up in the Fun with Plushtrap minigame in FNAF VR. I don't actually know if it can pop up with the Fun and Balloon Boy version or even the Blacklight version, but I'm not sure, okay? Just look it up. I know I probably should have looked it up, but I didn't, so do it yourself. However, this Easter egg is rare and hasn't happened to me or anyone that I've seen play this game unless they were intentionally looking for it in like they were in the video that I actually watched to help find things for this list. Like, there aren't any actual animatronics that haven't been revealed, like, or something like that, okay? If they hadn't been revealed, how would I be able to make this list? However, I think it might have happened to Eddie VR when he was playing through. I think he might have had the mini arena pop up, but I can't quite remember. I'm pretty sure he might have experienced this, but I didn't. And it is Shadow Bonnie. Shadow Bonnie is another character that can be added into the game after Dee Dee starts singing like my Aunt Denise at Thanksgiving after having a little too much cranberry sauce. Our cranberry sauce is special. It's spiked with just a bottle of vodka. Now I don't know why she does it. She just does. Do cranberries? Why am I still talking about cranberries? Damn, I was getting really off track. Okay. Anyway, as I was saying, Shadow Bonnie can just be thrown into the game at literally any time, usually closer to the start of the night, however. When active, Shadow Bonnie will appear in your office on the right hand side and will proceed to flicker the lights and then just cut them off for around 20 to 21 seconds. It's like that SpongeBob episode where like it was the hash singing slasher and then it was just like that one dude was flicking the lights. Yeah, it's like that. During that time where your office is practically pitch black though, you are unable to see if any of the animatronics are actually coming at you unless you use a flashlight, thus you waste more power. It's a pretty strong ability, if I'm being kind of honest, and like if I had the ability to just turn off the lights whenever I wanted without needing a light switch, I'd be having a lot more fun. Just imagine all these lights going off at once, and you going like, oh, what the hell? And I just flick them back on. Oh, messing with Chris would be so easy. And at 7, the apple tree. The saying goes the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and while that isn't always the case, it certainly became the case for Elizabeth in the FNAF series. Elizabeth being the daughter of the purple guy we all know and some of us love a little too much. You know, William Afton. Elizabeth, however, gets scooped on the first day of Circus Baby's Pizza World being open and gets the place shut down after a single day. She ends up possessing the animatronic in a story we all know too well, but she goes a little crazy while being an animatronic, willing to kill you in sister location when the power goes out, and then, you know, killing Henry in FNAF World, which is kind of poetic in a way. Like father, like daughter in this case. William took Henry's daughter's life, and William's daughter took Henry's life, which is weirdly beautiful but also horrible. And this girl is out there chopping heads off, and she like wasn't even old enough to make a Club Penguin account. Yikes. And at 6, stuck in the middle. And to those of you who may be confused as to why it would have been Elizabeth killing Henry even though she was possessing Baby at the time of his death, Elizabeth is still inside Baby. We can see it much like how we can see the body of someone else in Funtime Freddy's wireframe and the blueprints in FNAF 6. There is actually a body of a kid stuck inside Baby as well. And I don't know about you, but I don't think that William would have taken his daughter's body out of Baby since she had, you know, possessed the animatronic and then just like threw Baby back out there to collect more kids instead of studying her even more. Like at this point, William already knew about Remnant, but he'd never seen it work. He'd never seen the possession work. He knew about it, but he didn't know about it, you know? But this time, it had something to do with his family. He had a personal stake in the matter. And the FNAF 6 wireframe is what Henry was using to lure Baby back so that he could release Elizabeth, and doesn't mention any other kind of kid that would be trapped inside of Elizabeth, or Baby, or whatever, they're the same thing. So, yeah. Halfway through at number 5, fan art. Continuing on the FNAF multiverse idea, the whoopsie we know from the original cover art of FNAF VR Help Wanted could be in fact another addition to this multiverse. While not intended, the original cover art did contain fan art. The FNAF multiverse opens up this cover to actually being a reality. If anything, these could already be in theory canon because it's been made and released. It's not some theoretical thing that could have happened, it actually did happen, and there was a decent kerfuffle about it when the news first dropped. But at least it could be a way to get like a few more characters into the FNAF multiverse, which is definitely going to be a thing with the new FNAF games, and already a thing with the books and the upcoming movie. At least at some point, because this thing is going to have us waiting longer than The Elder Scrolls 6. And that hurts me to say on a personal level. Headed for Glitch Trap Conspiracy. Plushtrap is the antagonist of the latest main series title, FNAF Help Wanted, the VR title that later got itself a flat version. However, he was supposedly an accident after being scanned in when they used a hard drive in order to make the AI of the animatronics. However, for an accident, this character is able to do an awful lot in game. He can interact with things like curtains and other sections of the game. Like, how is he able to do that if he was just an accident? Sure, they would have AI, but they would have had to code separate collision, right? Maybe not because like he's a spirit, but who knows. It just seems off to me like he had to have some form of help to get the control that he does in game. At least being able to interact with aspects of the game. Like he shouldn't be able to do that, right? Even we can't move curtains and stuff. The hard drive was just for AI, not collisions. And no other animatronics really move things other than Foxy and the camera in the DLC. Like, at least from what I've seen. Like, and the whole like, oh yeah, here, use this hard drive, it'll help you with the AI, that just seems shifty to me. I don't know, it's weird, okay? Something's going on there. Vanny wasn't around yet, so who did it? Who gave him the hard drive? Who did it? Which one of you? No one's going home until someone tells me who did it. Number 3, Biddy Bap. Biddy Bap, Biddy Bap. Biddy Bap. The appearance of Biddy Bap is identical to that of the mini arenas in FNAF VR. The Biddy Bap may show up in Circus Baby's dark room level, where you need to hide in the closet like my sister was. However, this time, you're hiding from Baby as she looks around the room for you until she sees you, runs over to you, and then makes you hold the door closed until she forgets that you're there, then goes away until she sees you again in the closet, and then you have to do the same thing for hours and hours. But by like hours and hours by in-game standards. But by the door, by like the front door to the room, not to the closet, you can actually end up seeing a little Biddy Bap standing there, menacingly. And if you were one of the people who commented on the Scariest FNAF Animatronics video saying that the Biddy Baps weren't scary, obviously you haven't seen this Easter egg because holy crap, it's terrifying, okay? It's just, it's there, staring, laughing, wanting us to die. Penultimately, in at number 2, XOR. Now, I didn't know that Elon Musk's kid was an animatronic, but this animatronic is actually in the same vein as Shadow Bonnie, with a name that still makes more sense than X-Ash Archangel 12. Like, I get that they say that they changed the name or something like that, but okay, still. What's with celebs naming their kids weird? This animatronic though is referred to as Shadow Dee Dee, which acts in a similar way to Dee Dee in this game. However, their color palette is changed to black, white, and red, and the song she sings goes backwards and is lower pitched. However, this is probably the worst thing that you can get in this game because instead of summoning one of the extra animatronics, XOR summons all of them. Every single one. Hell, based on the description of the wiki, it may summon every single animatronic in the game. Yeah, that's terrifying. But there's still one animatronic that was honestly a real surprise and the most interesting one on this list. And finally, in at number 1, Coffee. Now, in FNAF VR, you can see multiple animatronics, most of which were on this list. However, the most interesting one, that is probably the only actual secret animatronic on this list, is Coffee, which isn't even an animatronic from the FNAF series. It's actually from another one of Scott's series, which failed, like every other game before FNAF, a game called Desolate Hope. And Coffee is an autonomous service robot designed to tend to the needs of nearby humans. It's basically a sentient coffee machine that actually makes coffee, unlike the one at Yog Labs. Coffee can be seen in Five Nights 3 if you reload the level enough times, and he'll just be sitting on your desk, unable to be interacted with, and he won't even make you coffee, which is kind of rude. Honestly, maybe he is more like the Yog Labs coffee machine than I thought. Welcome to Yog Labs. Sorry, guys. Minecraft Nightmare got me all back into all the Minecraft things, so I can't help but make references now, and then Yog Labs and Yog's Cast, and yeah.